going. I get distracted easily. Well, welcome to Systems with Selena. And I'm hoping that you guys are okay with me coming up with some. I was thinking of this call over the last weekend. I was thinking about some things. So it's actually really, really ironic, Ralph, that you're on because you made me think about what I've been thinking about. Um, So this call came about because I taught one of our workman classes to the organization, goodness, more than a year ago now. And it was all about teaching admins the systems and processes that we have. And then people liked that coaching program so much that they said, can we do this a little bit more often and talk a little bit more often about systems for those of us that are nerdy? And that's not a bad word. Um, we just like to use the systems and processes to improve our lives and our businesses. Um, and so it's now once a month, and I keep it pretty open. Sometimes I come with something for us to talk about. Other times, other folks bring something up, and I'm open to whatever you need it to be. However, some of us have been talking about AI a lot in the background. And so I was thinking the other day, should I continue doing that on this call or should we have like sort of a mastermind maybe once a month or twice a month for those of us that are using AI a lot in our businesses and our lives so that we can help each other. Not me just talking at people, but everybody talking about it together and maybe what they're taking away from it and learning. So with that, does anybody have anything particular that they wanted to talk about on today's call? And well, real quick, I have a question. Ralph, did you sign up for Phil's class?
That's why I'm on this call.
Oh, you did it?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either. I just couldn't justify the expense right now. I couldn't justify the expense. It's so
It's
much.
literally, yeah, but it's literally right here, and I've been looking at it like every single day, and I'm like, am I going to do it? I'm going to do it. And the only reason why that's holding me back because I don't know if it's just social media heavy and a bunch of like cheats, and if it is, I'm like,
So it's a great question. I actually asked Casey if she knew of anybody who had participated in it. She did not. She reached out to Brent Gove. He then reached out directly to Phil. And because I said if it's any more of what we're already being given when we're at EXPCon or, any of the build events, then I'll skip it. And he said no. He said he felt like it was very worth it. I love Phil. I think he's amazing. I just couldn't justify the expense in that moment. What I usually tell people is go sell another house. I was like, I need to just recruit three more people so I can afford it.
yeah. No, I mean, I'm going to be the sacrificial lamb. Basically, I'm more than likely going to pull the trigger on that today because it's just for me. I'm like, whether the expense is there or not, it's something that I have to get a little bit more hip to using. And I'm like starting to use it now, like in my own life, where I'm like, I'm not going to Google this, I'm going to chat GTP this, right? And then just start to ask it other questions and get used to being able to work within the system. Um, and then I think that helps at least for, like it just gives you a framework, right? It's not going to solve all the problems. It just gives you
Yeah.
a framework and kind of gets you like launched off, into outer space, and then you have to bring it down back to Earth, right? So, um,
You
at
will
the
have to
same
keep
time,
it
it's
up.
like, like Phil's done a ton of the work, so it's like why, it's obviously worth something because he's put so many hours into that. And if we were to divide that up, it's like, are we going to just learn it? And that's why I don't like getting lost in the mix of like figuring it out myself. It's like I will and figure out how it works for me. However, I'm like, I need a roadmap on how to get there. So, and if he's built that, then that's fine.
Okay. Is everyone okay that we're discussing this topic, AI in particular? Carrie, how about you? You okay? Okay, awesome. Debbie and I talk about it rather regularly because she's using it a lot in business and in her life as well. We discussed it. I didn't record it, but because we're only, I think, just the two of us on maybe a couple weeks ago. And Debbie's using it to meal plan and grocery shop and do all kinds of things in her life, which then gave me the idea. And I wrote it and I was like, hi, it's just me and my little guy. I'm on GLP-1. I gave it all the specifics and it came back with this amazing amazing 2 week meal plan and told me the groceries. And then I linked it to know that I was shopping at HEB, and then it told me what it would cost. And it was like, it was pretty amazing. So I thank Debbie for that because I hadn't really contemplated using it in my own personal life in that way. And so Ralph, maybe that's what you're talking about, using it in other ways as well. Something
Yeah, like
simple.
I didn't know you could take a picture of your fridge and it can tell you what to make
Yeah.
on, yeah, so I mean it's that. I mean, like we had a chicken that was getting beat up by the other chickens, and I'm like, all of my chicken books, I'm like, I don't have time for this, and I just like asked ChatGTP, and they're like, you have a sick chicken, you have to move it, and I'm like, oh, okay, done. Right.
It's
So I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of scary in the ways that we don't think about using it. And then when we do, we're like, why didn't I do that before? And I'm very much like you, Ralph, where I'm sort of bypassing Googling and moving into that lane of asking it because it's got exposure to so much more. Um, and I'll give you another example. So this morning on the context call, for those of you that were on it with Casey, if you missed it, go back and watch it at empirebuilders.pro resources because it was a really, really good call. Or Laura, can you pop it in the chat actually for everybody here? And I had been struggling with my own context word for this year, and I actually use ChatGPT because I have a personal account and I have an enterprise account. So one, I keep everything that has everything to do with Empire Builders Pro, EXP Realty, all of that in that account that I could share if I wanted to with Laura or with Casey. And that GPT knows everything about our organization. I am constantly updating it. It has access to the website. I put our standard operating procedure manual in there that I've been building using ChatGPT, um, and all of that. So it's always knowing that. But then I have a personal one, and it's talking about my own goals, my own life, things that I'm working on, all of that. And so this morning, oh, well, the other day, I asked it to help me find a context word for the year based on what it knows about me. And when it got back, I was like, not sure how I feel about it. And then Casey said something this morning about finding a word that helps you fill the gaps. And while we were on the call, Ralph, I put that into ChatGPT. And I said, based on what you know about me, based on my goals, based on the things that you know that you feel are gaps in what I'm doing, help me find a context word that addresses that so that I can reframe my feelings about the gaps. It gave me the best word. I was like, as soon as I read it, I was like, that is my word. Like, because it made, yeah, CW, it's alignment. And I immediately did what I always do, which is create stuff so I can post this in the bathroom, in my car, everywhere. I have 5 of these copies. And I made it pink because you know me. So that I'm seeing it every day. And whenever I read what it told me about the alignment, which I'm happy to share, was it really spoke to me because I struggle with aligning what I want to do with my ability to do it, always feeling overwhelmed, always feeling pulled in too many different directions. And when it gave that to me, I was like, okay. Initially, the first word it gave to me before I put in the gap situation was momentum, which I still thought was a great word, but I didn't feel like it correctly, reflected that I struggle with aligning myself with things like big goals, big responsibilities all the time, and then feeling like I'm not spending enough time with my family or doing this or taking care of me. And that came up a lot this morning on the call. And I was like, okay. So it said to, what it gave me was making sure I was in alignment with that at all times and thinking about that. Yes, I have big responsibilities, but I always want to be in alignment with taking care of me, taking care of my family, taking care of my health, and being all those things. So it's very interesting because the more you feed it, right, the more it knows about you. And if you don't currently have several or separate GPTs for that, I encourage you to do it. One for me is all about the organization. The other one is really about me and the things that I work on. Does that make sense? Yeah. So Ralph, I thought that the word that she helped you with this morning was really, really good, but that might be something that you decide to plug into.
yeah, I was struggling with it and with myself. I was like, this is not the word. I'm like, it's close, but it's not the word. So
Yeah.
that did help though.
So who here is using ChatGPT like every day? Yep. Oh, Ralphie, not?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I'm not online every day.
No.
Yeah.
Debbie, go ahead, Debbie. You look like you need to say something.
Okay, sorry I sound like a man, but So I know, isn't that sexy? Um, I just did the exercise like you just said, and I gave it the prompt, and it gave me alignment as well.
Oh, well, I know that you and I both work on similar things. So that,
We have very much like-minded thinking in many, many, especially professional ways.
yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. But I love that it gives you like a little fluff. That's such a meaningful exercise. Based on what I know about your compassionate heart, your dedication to serving others, and your drive to achieve personal and professional excellence, a powerful word for you could be alignment.
Is an alignment a word that ChatGPT uses a lot?
Not for me. This is the first time that's come up for me. Um,
Okay.
and mine very much was different in the fact that it says alignment emphasizes harmonizing your actions, strategies, and mindset with your goals, values, and strengths.
Mine
Um,
doesn't say that.
yeah. So I think it's a little bit different, right? And it says for me, it says it shifts the narrative from feeling inadequate to seeking harmony between what you want and how you operate. For example, feeling disorganized, reframe as aligning your systems with your desired efficiency, right? Which, let's all be real, we all know how much I love systems. Um, so it's like, sort of switching into that. And then it said feeling undervalued, align your conversations and boundaries with your self-worth. All of my personal development work in the last 2 years has shown me that I definitely have a self-worth issue, just being honest. And so it really spoke to me based on what it knows about me. So very different than yours in some ways, Debbie, right? Like not,
It
even though it's
it
the same word,
it it did the same thing but with different context behind it,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Because while you and I do have very similar ways of doing things, we are obviously individuals, and so it did give me other things to consider, because it tells you why it picked the word professionally, personally, and emotionally. It gave me 3 reasons why, and then it gave me like 4 other words that might be good, and then asked if I wanted to explore more if that word felt right.
Awesome. Awesome. So the other thing that I was going to mention, and I'm happy to share these with you, is because, Ralph, I didn't invest in Phil's. I had something else come up in my feed from one of the newsletters I'm on for AI. And hang on, I'm going to share the first one with you guys. I'm going to put the spreadsheet in here because it says that I can.
While you're doing that, I also did a personal project while I was with my mom last week. My nephew is a fourth generation Teamster, both on my mom's side and my dad's side of the family. And so he's really getting interested in the history and legacy of our family with the Teamsters in Alaska. And so he liked some of the pictures I was sending him and some of the stories I was telling him. He wanted me to interview my mom. So I gave some context to ChatGPT, and it came up with like 25 questions I can ask my mom interview style to tell stories about the legacy of our family. I just thought that was really cool.
That is cool. Why is my mouse not working? Is everybody, can somebody click on that and make sure you can open it? Okay.
I can open it.
Okay, perfect. So I purchased this the other day. I didn't spend a ton on it, but I thought it was really great. And I have another one I'll share with you in just a second. This is business. These are bots that somebody has already built, meaning that the second that you click on the link, it's going to open it in your chat GPT. Is it doing that? Something else must be open. That's what it is. I'm like, this is what happens when you have this many screens in front of your face. Um, and the second that you click on them, it opens it in ChatGPT and it will, those bots do specific things. So it's like, there's 70 of them, 40 in one and 30 in the other. It's like having 70 employees that have very specific things that they do, which is what's really cool about it. So each one has already been designed by the guy I got this from to do that specific thing. So for example, if you open that, it says one's a social media manager, one is specifically about viral scripts, email marketing, sales negotiation coach. It's trained to coach you on negotiating sales if that's the case, right? Like these are bots that have already been trained and taught how you want them to speak, how you want them to work, and what ideally you want them to do. With the caveat that each bot you have to teach it about you. So if you've done the Phil Stringer teach me about your business prompt that he's given everybody in the past, I took that and loaded it in to every single one of the bots and said, here's everything you need to know about the business. right? I took that I did, and then I took our entire operations manual that I've been building and said, here's everything that you need to know, right? So you have to do it for each bot. I'm not using every single bot right now, so I didn't do it on all of those. Like there's one that's create course, right? I'm not building a course right now. I'll do that if I get to that point with those bots. But I started using this the other day and I really liked it. It was already something that knew how to do all of the things and speaking in the way that I would want it to speak. So like I ask it now to create me a viral hook, right, for a specific email subject line. It's already trained to do that versus me having to tell it every time I'm in ChatGPT, like, oh, create me something, right? Based on the way that we speak or the way that we talk. So feel free to use those as much as you want. And, just file and make your own copy if you want to be able to share it with anybody else. But I have been using it already. I did this, oh, it was New Year's Day. I told Laura, she was like, what are you doing, taking the day off? I was like, no, um, no, I worked all day. And so I encourage you to use it and build those inside of your chat GPT so that you have all of these employees. I love that he's actually named them things. They actually all have cute little names, so in case you need to remember that you're like, one's called Nico, which is my son's name, so I kind of remember that one all the time. But there's a ton of them in there, and they become your departments, right? So like I'm moving each one of those chats into a project, which is my favorite thing that ChatGPT did, where we can now have projects and I can put all conversations and chats under one specific project. But I now have departments. I have like a sales department and I have a social media department and I have all of these different things in there that help me become more effective. Now, remember, I've taught all of them as much as possible about the business, right? So make sure that you're feeding that information. The only hiccup I'm having right now, and it's probably what I'm going to work on Sunday when I'm not as busy, I'm sure you know this, that they don't cross talk, right? When you have multiple GPTs, multiple chats going on, or sessions in there. So if you have multiple sessions, you have to feed each one the new information. I'm working on a way that all of that comes together. Like you're inside of one thing and they're all speaking. So as soon as I figure that out, I'll let you guys know. I did actually ask ChatGPT and it told me how to. It involved writing code of some kind, which is where I draw the line. That's really like after that, I'm like, nope. But I do know people who do. So like I might outsource that puppy. Any questions on that? Anybody take a look at it yet? Or like,
So I've never really understood this side of ChatGPT. Like I just have never used it in that way. I've been perfectly fine just like using ChatGPT for like basic things. But so when you're using these different bots, are they like showing up on your left-hand sidebar and you like
yep,
click into that bot and then it has like a history and it will just remember that bot?
yep. That's
Okay.
exactly what happens. So that's as soon as you pull them in, when you click on it, here, let me share my screen. Boop, boop. This one. Okay. You can see I have all of their names. I
Oh,
saved them. So when I pulled them in up here, you can, well, it's not on that one. Let me see if I can find one that's open. There's a lot. There's 70 bots. So give me a second.
wow. Yeah, that's a lot of bots.
Feeding. When you have it up here, you can do this and then you can put that you want to add it to the sidebar. So like I've added all of mine to the sidebar. I put
Got it.
all 70 in. I didn't feed all of them information because like we don't do e-commerce, so I don't care. But all the ones I thought I would use. And then I also gave it our website, right? So it will read everything that you have on your website. So if you have one, feed it that information, anything that you've got in there. But so I just kind of started putting them all in here, and then now I have that saved. Now, the idea behind it, Colby, is that they have already, like, you can design your own bots. You can design your own chat GPTs
Mhm.
as well and tell it that you want it to be a social media manager or that you want it to do certain things. I was doing that already, just onesie twosie and going out and finding the prompts that were best going to give me the response I wanted. This guy
Mhm.
built them all already. And so
Yep.
that's why I bought it. I was like, okay, he's already taught it that this needs to be about viral content. He's already taught it that this is someone who specializes in email templates, right? There's
Mhm.
one that's specifically for onboarding. And I was like, that's awesome. Because I'm always trying to teach and build the system to onboard better. It's
Mhm.
something I feel like we definitely still need to work on. I thought the coaching ones were really good. I'm trying to look at that for that sales negotiation coach. And I was like, okay, this could be really powerful for agents out there who are like working on this script, with like trying to convince a seller to list at a certain price or trying to convince someone to accept an offer at a certain price. So it's designed right now just generically for sales negotiation, but then I can just add in, here's, we're real estate agents and this is what the market's doing right now, right? So you'd have to still give it additional information, but it's already trained by this other person to speak in that language for you.
That
So
makes sense.
I'm
Pretty
always,
cool.
yeah, I'm always looking for tools out there. That means I don't have to do it from scratch, right?
Hmm.
Because I mean, imitation is like the best. Like, there's someone out there who is way smarter than me that's doing this. Uh, like Phil, who's amazing. I just can't justify the expense of his course in this moment. So I hope that that's helpful for you guys. I would encourage you to get in there. And again, it's not every bot's going to be relevant for you. Utilize the ones that you feel will, and then keep building it. Keep building it,
Hmm.
feeding it as much information as possible. Ralph, did you want to add something?
Like one thing I did that was like at least helpful and it was super easy is like if you go into the MLS and if you want to make a market report for a seller or you want to tell them what's going on, you can just take that PDF, like just pull the statistics, throw the PDF in there, and it'll give you whether it's a script or however you want it to kind of relay that information back to you. So I mean, I thought that was just, I mean, it was just easy when like getting like a persona for an open house. Like if it's a market that I haven't really been in for a while and they're like, how's the market? And I just, blah, blah, I just like spit it out at them. And I was like, that was so easy. And people were really, like receptive to it, which surprised me because I was like, how's the market? And you always have to say some generic thing,
Yeah,
right? But this was like, it was just on for the last, 60 days. I had everything that I needed.
that's
And it
amazing.
took me, like 3 minutes, I think. It was just like put in my criteria, exported it, threw it in ChatGTP, it spit it out, I printed it, and then I was able to convey that. So just like for agent wise, I think that was, it made a difference for me. It's like, how do we use this, right? That's the whole thing. It's like, what are we going to do besides going down a rabbit hole? I mean, obviously these bots are like, I mean, that could be a rabbit hole in itself, right? But and at the same time, it's like let's just do it, not over own it, and then keep going, right? Keep
Yeah.
making contacts. So
Well,
that
that
was
was
very
what
helpful.
that's why whenever I got it, I was already in the rabbit hole trying to create all of like something to talk in the way that we talk and something to do the things I specifically, right? You can have one, my husband has like just one session open in his, and he just keeps going through the same thing. By the way, it has memory that locks up at some point. So, I told him, I was like, you're not being very smart about the way you're using this in the sense that it doesn't have enough diversity about like what it's specifically good at. The bots are designed so that just like in any business, right? You're going to have somebody maybe who is focused on marketing, somebody who's focused on operations. You might have a CFO, right? All of those different things. And when we throw it all in the same session, it's lacking that specificity of being able to talk about that one thing. When you have different sessions, it's like, okay, you are an expert in analyzing Excel spreadsheets. So now you need to go do with this thing. And it's asking it to be very specific and think, for lack of a better word, with that mindset. So that was what was exciting to me about the bots, was because I was trying to train one session to do all the things. It's like, let's just make a Selena. Who knows way too much. And who was it? Laura, I think I was telling this the other day. I was like, there's only so much that comes in here and then it gets full and then it leaks out the other side. So it's like, you got to stop at some point. Same concept with running only one session in GPT, right? It's now no longer an expert in the thing. So the bots become the expert, right? Um, and I noticed this happen a couple of weeks ago. I threw in a spreadsheet. Someone had given me, I was doing a corporate call with production comparison. So anytime that you're bringing on a large brokerage or a large team, they are supposed to give you the last 12 months of data, of how many units and how much volume each agent has done, et cetera, what their splits are. And I always ask people for the same thing. I say, please give it to me per agent the totals so that I can easily put it into the production comparison sheet. They always give it to me in this long, drawn out document with everything like line itemed, and I have and not and it's in a PDF, it's not in Excel. So all of a sudden I have to sit there and add up, all of the data. Well, I threw it into Mr. ChatGPT over here, and he immediately spit back everybody's totals because it read the PDF. And it was what would normally have taken me probably an hour to go through and calculate everything, it did in about 30 seconds. Now, it did have an error. Like, no matter how many times I asked it to read that PDF, it was missing some things. And it was in the way that that person had structured the PDF. I didn't have any ability to alter it. So I had to go back and tell it, I need you to reanalyze the data and make sure everything adds up. Now, I had not, that was in my main session. So that was not its primary job, was to go out and analyze Excel spreadsheets or Excel data. So I tried it Wednesday whenever I was off and trying out the bots. It took it and immediately got it right because that Excel bot knew exactly what to do. And I was like, oh, where was this? Go ahead, Ralph.
So do you have yours trained to talk like you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
and
does it get confused when you start to throw those bots in it? Or it's on the
so
side?
no, so far it's been okay. The only confusion it ever has is that sometimes it thinks I'm Casey because I feed so
Okay.
much of Casey into it, and it's like, Casey, you should. I was like, that's not me today. I am Selena today. So I have to like remind it who I am. And a good way for you to train it, guys, on how you speak and how you communicate is any video that you have of yourself. Right. And unfortunately, I have entirely too many thanks to calls like this, where it's like I could just feed it YouTube's and I was like, watch it and see how I communicate, see how I speak. And if you don't have one already, just record something talking about anything. If you want to talk about your real estate business in any way that you would normally speak to a buyer or seller, just record it and upload it, right? You're teaching it more about you and how you communicate and how you speak. If it feels like mine says that I am shocking, very coaching. I coach people, but with compassion. And I was like, oh, yay. And kind of knows me. So I was like, I'll take that. I'll take that. So feed it as much information as you can, right? Anything that you might have. Or record yourself. The other thing that you can do if you're not doing it right now, and there is one that's called, I think it's, yeah, let me see, Business Assistant and Virtual Assistant. I teach my virtual assistant, although Laura is my virtual assistant in real life, and she's amazing. But I teach my virtual assistant on here. I actually talk on my phone into that GPT. All of my thoughts, ideas, priorities, things I'm supposed to be working on, whatever I thought about at 2 o'clock in the morning when I woke up. All of that is just a running dialogue because I use that bot to help me prioritize what I'm doing for the day or send me reminders of whatever it is that I was thinking about at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that one is much more of a personal bot for me in that it's learning about me, my days, my struggles, what I'm feeling like I'm behind on, and whatever it is. It's sort of like the keep Selena on the straight and narrow bot, and to make sense of everything that goes inside of this head. It's to come out the other side. The business assistant is totally different. I use that bot specifically for the business. I just fed it this morning. We're going to be posting about this. How many units our entire organization did in 2024, the volume, how many teams we have, how many new joins we had, how many icons we had, how many cappers, how many states and countries that we operate in, because I want it to know that so that it's going to write me I'm using it inside of that one. I'll put it inside of some of the other ones too, like the email content and things like that. It's going to write me something to celebrate that for the year. But now it also knows more about our business, right? So and this is very important, put whatever your currents are and put whatever your goals are. So I showed Laura maybe a week or so ago, I put in what our goals were for this year because Verl Workman is coaching Casey and I. And he asked me what my goals were for the end of 2026, I think it was. And I told him, and he was like, what if I told you that you had to do that in 3 months? At which point I almost threw up. And then he said, what about 90 days? then I definitely wanted to throw up because I was like, that's not possible. But what I did do was I threw those goals, that was the end of 2026 goals, into ChatGPT and said, here's where we currently are, number of people in the organization, number of teams, number, et cetera. Here's what we want, but I want to hit it by the end of 2025. What do I have to do every day to make that happen? It still made me want to throw up, not gonna lie. It was, I told Laura, it was like, you need to speak to 30 to 50 agents a day. I was like, yeah. Yeah, yeah. And it was like, I think 7 to 10 agent appointments a day. I was like, and I'm like, and I was on with Laura. I was like, this is terrifying, but not impossible. That's what it made me realize. I looked at it and I was like, okay, it's not impossible. So then I went to Laura and I was like, where do we find enough people that I can talk to that many people a day? Like, where do we have that data? And we started, well, we went to Rick Chiha's Outlook, dear God. And I exported all of the contacts out of it. Poor Laura's been going through that spreadsheet forever because it was 6,000 and something, right? And I was like, anybody who looks like their email address is a real estate agent, put it in this other spreadsheet. We're just going to start adding those people to the list because why not? Right? Where else am I going to find 30 to 50 agents to talk to every day about the possibility of joining EXP? But it made me realize it's not impossible. I just have to work backwards from the goal. Right? So if you're not using it in these ways, guys, I encourage you to start thinking about it. And I think I shared with you guys, I moved it over next to my nightstand again. I'm reading The AI-Driven Leader. It was recommended to me by Mark Boyland, who I used to run his team in Westchester County. He had gone to an event and the author was there speaking. And he was like, he texted me, he's like, Selena, you got to get this book. Okay, and I got it and immediately started implementing. And the whole back of it is an appendix of prompts. Okay. So the whole concept is training ChatGPT to be your thought leader, thought partner. You're a thought leader, they're your thought partner. So you train it, you're giving it all of the input just like this and asking it to respond to you. And what it does is it's almost like a coach, guys. It's like asking you to dig a little bit deeper. What would it mean if you stopped doing these things and you started getting really serious about these things, right? So it's an excellent book. I highly encourage you to read it. I can't remember who it's by right now because it's on the other side of this wall. But it's called The AI-Driven Leader. Hang on, I'm going to get another book because I did get another one. One sec. I've just started it, but I like it as well. And it's called The AI Edge, and it's by Jeb Blount, B-L-O-U-N-T. I'm trying to remember what he wrote. It's another famous book that probably most of us have read.
Fanatical prospecting.
Fanatical Prospecting. Thank you. So I've just started reading it. It's also excellent. I'm only like a couple of chapters in, and I'm really enjoying it. So I don't know if you guys do a lot of reading, but unfortunately, I have like 7 books on my nightstand right now, and I tend to read most of them at the same time. It's a terrible thing to do. Are you using ChatGPT to give you book summaries too and key action items? No.
Oh, but
Try that.
I do like if I like the concept of a book, I will ask ChatGPT to like use that as the context for what I'm looking to achieve, you know?
Awesome. Yep. I did the same thing whenever I created the goals for us for this year and put it in the system. I said, using, oh gosh, I have so many. I think I put in, Debbie, you gave me the idea. I put like 4 or 5 books in there that I was feeling very strongly about the content. And I said, build what I want. And I built this giant operations manual I'm working on based on the concepts from these books, which are my right now favorite books that I was reading. One of them was that Will Gadara that we had. Oh God, that was so good.
We just bought 10 hardcover copies yesterday that we're handing out to the team at our meeting next week.
So good, right? So
Yeah.
good. So if you aren't like, here's what I do whenever I'm either reading a book or I'm thinking about reading a book or I loved a book. And it was actually Leo Robles who gave me the idea. So I asked ChatGPT to give me a summary of the book. I ask it to then also give me 10 actionable items I could do right away to implement what the book was about. So it's actually like I want things I can do based on what it knows. A lot of times I'll finish reading a book and I'm super overwhelmed by the like this one, no, this one, which was the AI driven leader. And I was like, there's so much to do. I want to do it all. And Ralph, this is where the rabbit hole starts. But instead, I said, when I finished it, give me the top 10 actionable items that I should implement immediately to make the change in the business I want to make. And I just did those. And then the next time I'll go into the same chat and I'll say, give me another 10. I completed those. That way you're working on the things that are the most important to change what you're working on. Because it's easy to get like, God, we're always intaking so much, information. But I always like to know. I used to read, there was an app called Blinkist, Blinkist, and it's designed very similarly. It's AI giving you, it's longer. So you're reading like maybe 15 pages of what it considers the most important aspects of a book, and then it's giving you things to work on at the end of it. But that's another app if you're just interested in getting a lot of information about books. But I encourage you to use ChatGPT to really get you focused on whatever it is that you're reading. Okay, I'm spitting out a lot at you guys. What else?
Does anybody know like of a good like I've uploaded calls. I can't get it's not transcribing them correctly so that I can put it into ChatGPT. It's like
I know Debbie's looking at me right now because she knows that's what I'm talking about. I don't have it over here. It's over on my nightstand as well. I encourage you to buy this fabulous little device called Plod. Okay. It's a little flat thing. You can actually, I think they sell it in necklace form now, or it'll go on a bracelet. It sits on the back of my phone most of the time and it records. So every time I'm on a recruiting call, I turn it on. And it actually will record their voice from the other side of my phone. And it records the whole thing and then it gives me a full summary. I have not only the audio, you can choose if you want it to just be transcription. You can choose if you want it to be a meeting note. You can choose if you want it to be like a follow-up steps or whatever it is. And I use that. Well, let me tell you why I got it. It's because Casey always says amazing things, and then she never remembers what she said when I say, could you say that again? Because I want to type it. And she can't remember it. So anytime I'm on a one-on-one Zoom with Casey, it sits on my computer over here and I just turn it on and record the whole thing because it'll spit back out everything that I want. Sometimes she'll say a great script or, something that I just want again. It's about $150. It may still be on sale from the holidays, but it's super, super slim. I just put it on the back here. You turn it on, and then when you're ready to record, you just hold the button down, and then I make my recruiting calls. Ralph, this would be really good if you're on the phone with buyers and sellers too, right? You've got that documented, whatever it is that they said. And then at the end of every one of my recordings, I choose it to tell me that I want whatever action items. So especially if I'm on a recruiting call, it'll tell me at the bottom, Selena, you promised to send them this, this, and this whenever you send the email. Like it gives me a quick like rundown. Then I copy and paste everything into our CRM because it's now in an app and you can log on the screen and get to it. So
and it works well. Like it gets okay. I've been trying to find free ones online from like a Mojo call, and I take the recording, and then it's
wow.
like none of it works.
Yeah, it's hard for it to hear.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite purchase of the year. Like favorite. Like it's I wasn't sure when I got it, I hate spending $150 and not really knowing, but I read so many reviews about it. And then I'm seriously contemplating getting the one that just fits on a little bracelet. It's got like almost looks like an iWatch sort of situation because I was like I would just keep that on all days. Like just now, sometimes I don't have it with me. Like I was on a call last night and so I was recording that one and I left it over there. But if I had the bracelet on, it would just be on me all the time. So something to consider. But great question though, Ralph.
That'll be good for my interactions with police officers.
Yes. Yes, it could be good for that too. Not how I was intending to use it. Uh, it just kind of keeps things straight. Like I think about how many calls I'm on or Zoom calls that I'm on. And by the way, you can identify it at the very beginning. It'll say who was caller one, who was caller two, and then it readjusts the entire thing so that when I copy and paste it, it says exactly who was speaking. Like it'll know. It'll be like Ralph said da 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 da, and Selena said da 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 da. So it's really good at keeping it straight. I've been very happy with it so far. All right. Anything else? Anybody else doing anything fun and fabulous with it that I haven't thought about?
Well, I just well, not just, but a little while ago, I put in the slides that Phil Stringer provided at Cabo 2024. So the link is in there if anybody wants those, and it's got a bunch of prompts in it. It's like 42 pages.
Yeah.
And it's pretty intensive.
Yeah, that's the one that I start with. For anybody who hasn't done it yet, I start. Now, the only thing I do differently is his first prompt says to craft your unique value proposition. After I do that and it asks me all the first questions, I added one extra thing. At the end of that, I said, okay, you just learned all of this about me. Based on what you received, is there anything else that you feel like you need to know in order for us to proceed with you knowing more about our business? And it gave me 20 more questions. So don't always stop at the first group because, right, his says 25 important questions, which was great and amazing. But I went back and said, ask me more. Do you feel like there are any gaps that you don't know based on my responses? It gave me 20 more. I did those, and then it felt like it was like, okay, now we know who you are. We know what you're doing. So sometimes just take it up a notch depending on what you're doing. And I did it, by the way, for the Rick Chiha real estate team, totally separate GPT, and then one specifically for our EBP organization, Empire Builders Pro. So I have two separate ones. One is specifically all about the Rick Chiha real estate sales team, and it speaks in that language and only about that. And the other one is speaking completely about our EXP organization. Keep them separate because sometimes it just gets confused. Like, who are you? What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. So I ask myself that question every day. I'm not sure. Somebody asked me that on our workman call this morning, and they were like, you have this person for that. I was like, nope, there's just me and Laura. And anytime I change positions, I just change my glasses. I'm like, this is Selena, and this is whenever I'm doing marketing. And like different hats, different glasses, different hats. So I hope that this is helpful for you guys. I think, there's so many people who get very nervous about AI, and I just think if we aren't embracing it right now, we're really going to be left behind. I think about how it makes me so much more efficient. I'm starting to feel like I have better control over my time as a result of it. I also don't have to learn to be all of these things, which, like, I am not a web designer, nor do I want to be. I am not a viral hook creator, nor do I want to be. But that's what I have been doing for the last several years and trying to learn about all of the things. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. And there is, right? Have the bots that are trained and designed to do that, that make you better at those things without you having to sit there. Like some days I just don't feel creative, guys. Like I have to write something. I was doing the newsletter the other day and then I was like, I'm such a dummy. I'm sitting here writing it and I fed it everything I wanted it to talk about. And it just spit back out all this great stuff. And I was like, huh, who knew? You know, why am I over here trying? I just wasn't feeling it. Some days I just don't feel like writing, you know? Carrie, you're very quiet. Tell us about you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of quiet. No, I use chat. I did one of Phil Stringer's classes from way beforehand, and I think it's everything that he gave at Cabo is what I paid for initially. So I did that, but I try to use AI as much as possible. I have Lofty, so I have the AI going through there. So, because when all my leads come in, obviously I can't get to them right away. So I incorporate the AI. Sometimes the AI response is good. Sometimes it's like, why would you say, who told you to say that? But it can get a little crazy. I had someone say, no, I'm not searching right now. I just buried, I think it was their mom or somebody. And the AI was like, awesome. So are you looking for a 3-bedroom? I was like, it's great.
Oh
I'm
no.
never gonna be a client.
Oh, bless your heart. That's tough.
Yeah. But it's AI and that's the risk, and
It
it
is.
happens.
I think what I've been working on recently is I'm working more now on automations. So specifically what's happening from there or what I'm getting from there and how can I automate more? And this used to be something when I worked for Mark, I was really good at. I was like great at creating systems and automation so that everything spoke to everything at the same time. And I used Zapier for a long time and now I'm switching to Make. I tend to
I
like it.
hate Zapier.
I know, I don't know what it is. I used to love it. Now I'm like, meh. So I'm using make.com, which is just taking me a little bit of time to adjust to it. But like I saw something and I know this is I don't know how many of you are on TikTok. I'm purely on TikTok for the Excel spreadsheets and the AI stuff that I learn on it. So if anybody ever had access to my collections, it's like you have watched 1,400 videos about Excel spreadsheets and AI automations. But the other day I found one. I plan to implement it this weekend. It was that it can create drafts in your Gmail. I get about 300 a day. Sometimes it's a lot for me to read. And it will actually read it and respond to it and put it in draft, meaning it's not going to send it. It's going to let you go look at it, but it will take what it's read and it'll take any conversations that it's ever had with that person before and conversations that you have had like that, and it will create a draft and save it in your drafts folder, so that you can review it and see whether or not you want to make any edits or that you even want to send it, right? Like in some cases you may not, it may not, you may be, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk to you, so I'm not going to respond to you. But I'm going to try that because I have a very difficult time keeping up with all of the email that I get every day. I know Colby's like, I know, I know. I have like 7 email addresses. And like I tell Laura, I'm like, so this is like my coaching email is up here. My Empire Builders Pro is over here. My Selina at the Gladys group is over here. My personal email is over there. I now track my dad's stuff because I take care of him. And I'm like, all of these are open in here. I was like, could somebody please just do nothing but read my email and respond? That's all I want. And then I found out someone can. I feel like I need to
What's that
name.
called?
It's actually an automation in Make. I'll find the
Oh, it's
video.
in Make.
Yeah, hang on,
I've
let
never
me
even
write.
heard of Make before, but I'm looking at it now because I actually am trying to build a Zapier right now for just basically making our meta lead ads talk to our CRM, and maybe I'll look at this instead.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's Make is a little bit easier to navigate. And it
Definitely looks
seems
more user friendly right off the bat.
yeah, yeah. I do enjoy it a lot. So I'll find that video. I just wrote all your names down so I don't forget to send it to you. Bye, Carrie. It was good to see you today. Yeah, so anything like that that starts to create efficiencies or ways that can help me feel like I'm not like somehow I have to fit talking to 30 to 50 agents a day into my calendar. So that's what I keep looking at all of this stuff like, how do I get some of my time back? Those are the ways that I do. So if you're not on social media or on TikTok following people who do that, there are some great coaches that just feed information to you inside of TikTok. And you can just go up into the search bar and do AI automation and find a bunch of the folks that are really out there providing a lot of that for free. And I just save the videos. And then whenever I have a moment, I sit down and they will show you page by page. They're like, click here, type this, click here, type that thing. And then I implement, from there. So anything like that that can make you better at what you do, right? My biggest fear is now if I could just get it to read my text messages. My son was looking for something that he sent me and all my other kids one day, and this morning he goes, "Look, I'm just gonna look in your text," and he's scrolling and scrolling. He's like, "Who do you talk to? Like, who are all of these people?" And I was like, "Yes, I know. I feel much the same way." So I just need somebody to like read those and respond to those as well, but I have not figured that out yet. Not yet. So I hope that this was helpful. I kind of like the idea because Ralph, I know that Leo Robles does a lot in AI as well. I was thinking about reaching out to the organization and seeing if anybody wanted to have a specific AI ChatGPT call once a month or twice a month or something, so that everybody's learning from each other. There's certainly plenty of people out there doing much more than I'm doing, and seeing if that was something that people wanted to participate in, where it's strictly about that. I just think there's a lot of growth here, right? We're going to see it just really explode. So anything else? I won't keep you if we don't have anything else.
That's it
No?
for me. I got plenty
Thank
to work
you.
on.
I know Ralph's like rabbit hole, damn it. Damn it, Selena. Go set your menu on your grocery list. I
Yeah.
can't tell you, it's so great. Like I literally got on Instacart and I was like, By the way, I use that as another form of efficiency for anybody who doesn't. First of all, I hate the grocery store. Secondly, I always buy stuff I don't need. So when it gives me the grocery list, I just hop on Instacart. I only get whatever I need, and it gets delivered to my front door. Which is what happened this morning at 7 a.m. All right, guys, thank you so much for today. I so appreciate you all, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Selena.
Bye, guys.